episode of Constructing Future. I have here the honor of having this podcast my wife, Hunt. Her name is Audrey De la Rosa, and she's a very successful in what she does, and that's the reason why I have her here today on the podcast.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me, Davide. It's actually an honor and a pleasure.
No, thank you for being here.
I'm excited to provide some input.
Yeah. So this podcast is about construction company that they want to scale and transform their business from $500,000 to $10 million. And I know when it gets to a point that the business is growing, it comes to a place that we all need an executive assistant.
Correct.
So that's what Audrey, she does. She's been very, very successful for decades right now, helping very successful entrepreneur organize their time, organize their life, and way more.
Yeah, correct.
So
I believe that for every successful organization, there has to be a foundation. And within that foundation, you have you accolade and you put together a team.
A team, okay.
And your team are your right-hand people that are best at what they do, whether you have an operations director, you have an H&R person, you have operations person, and of course you have someone that is, like I call them, the jack of all trades. Because it's a person that not only assists the company, but also serves as a liaison between all of the outside people into the inside people as well, into the inside of the organization. So it's sort of like you hold the tides of all these different executives operational wise, and you're like the liaison between them and obviously the CEO or the president of the company. So it's sort of like you learn to understand their needs, you learn to understand how they operate. Every entrepreneur or every ultra high network individual, they work and they operate very different from one another. You have the personality traits, you have how they vision their company, you have how they like to be able to run things, but not always it's always how they see it. You have to be able to have a convincing pattern in between, and sort of so that I go around and sort of like understand and feed from each and every executive head to see how they want to run things, and then I come back and I sort of like provide like that bridge between them all and try to get, obviously, the common goal that they want is to be able to run and be successful. And so I've been doing it now for more than 30 years. That's what I've done. And it's gone very well. I mean, it's a lot of work, but once you see the end results of it all, it's like it's the most rewarding part of it all.
Yeah. So I'm very, very intrigued about that because I always see like, personalities, comes to, they have different vision, but what actually are the benefits to work with you and have an executive assistant on your side?
Well, because not only are you focused on what their needs are in terms of the vision of the company, but you have the human side of it all too. They have families, they have special needs that they have, and it's very different. I mean, there's some executives assistants that they're just focused on that, on just the 9 to 5 and just running the operations of work. But like in any operation, these very high demanding positions of these top executives and these top CEOs of these top presidents have a lot of demanding needs and a lot of times, and they also have families. So there's been times when I worked for one president who had to travel to Bali with his wife. The nanny could not stay with their children, so they asked me to stay with their kids. And in that particular time, there was Hurricane 4 coming to Miami.
Oh, wow.
So I had to take the kids and travel somewhere out of Miami. So that's sort of like the things that makes the position a very unique position, because you become like their right-hand person. You build the rapport, you build the consistency, you build the trust and the liability, and that's something that it doesn't necessarily have a price in number. That's the most of having it based on what it actually really means, because sometimes there's no money that you can entrust your kids with to someone. You'd rather have someone that you're like, okay, I can leave this person here and I know the job will get done, whether it's in the office versus outside the office. So that is what the key is. And ultimately, you do see the rewarding parts depending on what it is. I mean, it could be, I was fortunate enough to work with, a very high profile music and film producer for many years. So I got to see the Grammys. I got to meet a lot of interesting artists, and it comes with a lot of demand, but it's also a fun place, And if you have the right chemistry between the principal that you work for and you, I mean, it just makes it all better.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, you want to have an environment that it's a safe environment. You want to work in an environment that it's open to growth, to promoting from within. And so I think that those are very key elements to have when you are working, for an organization, or you're working for a high network individual that has all of these different demands that are being pushed from one place to another. And they're like, okay, we're going to a meeting, and they're like, okay, well, I don't remember who's that person. And they look at you and you're like, so-and-so. And they're like, okay, now I remember who that is.
Yeah.
And those are the things that really matter to these type of individuals that have a very, very demanding position.
That's amazing. I feel like you really touched 2 or 3 points that are super important, like trust.
Yeah,
if you don't have trust, you cannot give your kids to a person that, like you say,
it's just an example.
You took somebody out of a hurricane.
3 boys.
You travel
they were
with
very
them.
young boys, and they were stuck in Bali, and they were so worried. And don't worry. So I jumped into gear. I booked out tickets and flights, and I went to we left to New York, and I took the
And after they come back, I cannot imagine the trust that they have in you.
Absolutely. I can tell you that when I moved here, I moved here in 99. Until this day, I am close friends with the first president that I worked for.
Wow.
For the first firm that I worked for. We're still friends, and their kids are now 30 years old.
Wow.
So that tells you longevity and the trust and stuff.
That's great. That's great.
I mean, you built a lot of relationships and stuff through the years.
So as I say, there is in this audience a lot of entrepreneurs. So I want to give them as much information as they can to hire somebody like you that they help every aspect of their life, like you say, not just business, but also family and everything that comes with that things around, So what you would say, you already say a lot of things, great things, but what other tips that you can give it?
I think that the most important thing is that when you do interview, it's just different people that have different traits that are good, depending on what it is, of what you're servicing or what you're providing as an entrepreneur or as a startup company that you have. I mean, you can have an idea of bringing in someone that you would think would be your executive assistant, and then 90 days into the job, you see that she actually has she will be more of a beneficial to you, maybe to place her in a different position than it is. I think that it's difficult, but it's not impossible. There are very talented people out there. It's just that it has to be the right fit as much as it is for them as it is for you. And it's very important to always maintain a level of being humble about it, but being respectful about it, because it doesn't matter if it's the security guard at the front door. You understand? You have to, greet them with the same respect that you would greet one of your other colleagues, because they're doing a service from you. And what they say, it's a group of people that takes to come together to build the success of the company.
Yeah.
You can be the visionary with the talent, but you have to bring all of that to life. Yes. You have to execute those promises that you do. And by doing that, you have to have the right people in the right position to do that. So it does take a little bit of time, but as long as you're honest about it and you're upfront of what your needs are, and when you have to be firm, you can. And when it's not, you don't be firm, then it's okay too. I think it's key to being able to have, a successful run.
Yeah, I love those tips. Are very, very important, those things. To run a successful business, you need the right people in the right seat.
In the right place.
And you need to treat them like with respect. No matter where position, no matter which
position. It could be the mailroom kid, it could be the railroom clerk, it could be the lady that comes and, brings the coffee in the morning for you, or you have someone that just serves the coffee. I think it's just that you have to give those people the respect and the acknowledgement that they also matter, because as much as you think that it's minimum, it's integral. Because the moment someone walks into a company and they see how it flows, and they see how everything, it just flows, within it, they can feel that, they can see that, and they want to be a part of that, and they trust that, because they're like, oh my God, I want to be in this place.
I'm a big believer about energy, positive energy.
You want to have good energy, you want to have receptive energy, so I think it's a good way by being able to embrace that and also portray that where you go.
Yeah, 100%, I agree agree with you. And another thing, this is a tricky question, but I know there are moments of tension and a little bit of, I would say, like, because the entrepreneur goes through a journey and then, emotion and things.
Yeah.
How do you handle those things
So
with
normally
him?
there's a way. I mean, some people under a lot of pressure, you either fold or you flow. You have to maintain level-headed. You can't take anything personal because it's never being addressed to you as in a personal matter. It has to do with the job itself. And as high as in these positions that these executives and these presidents and these CEOs are, they come with a lot of tension and they come with a lot of chaos at times. You have to maintain focus and you have to maintain stern because the only way you're going to be able to execute it or bring the calmness down is by maintaining level-headed and knowing that it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes you have to wear a thick skin about it, and sometimes you'll see it. But once the rush is over of that type of that moment, the heat is over, then they calm down and then they reflect on it. And when they do, they're like, okay, I could do this better next time, or I don't have to have an outburst like this, or how can we do this better that doesn't happen again? But it's maintaining level-headed and just maintaining stern and just being calm about it.
That's great.
Because it just gives them the sense that they're going to scream, they're going to raise their voice, they're going to probably storm out the door, and it's okay. It has nothing to do, it's nothing personal. It just sometimes comes with a job. So you have to learn to separate that.
So
Talk to you.
it seems easy to say than done sometimes.
It's experience, a lot of experience.
Tell us like a story of something like related to that you went through that you weren't able to hold your things.
I think sometimes when you have to depend on other people to get the job done, it's like a chain of reaction, And when I worked with Larry, he was a very famous film and music producer. We did a lot of filming for a lot of interviews for a lot of top performing artists. And there was one time there was a show we were doing at the Adrian Arts Center, and it was Patty Austin, very famous jazz musician, and she walked in and she was getting ready to perform. Her shoes broke or something, and she has her team, but her team was nowhere in sight, and we're like, okay, we need you to get these shoes. We need you to get these shoes. We need you to get these shoes. And my boss, he's a producer, and the show must go on, and she didn't want to go on. And I'm like, okay, Patty, we can't get these shoes for you and that, but what else can we get? What can we do to make this better? And she was like, no, we need these shoes. And I said, sometimes maybe just why don't you come? I mean, you have a beautiful ball gown. So why don't you just come out barefoot? They don't want to have to see it. If you just come out barefooted, you're going to be in your element. My boss was like, no, this can't happen. This cannot possibly happen. She has to come out. I'm like, okay, just calm down. Let's look at the solution. And ultimately, we leveled halfway. She didn't want to come out barefooted, but I found her ballet slippers.
Oh, really?
So we got her ballet slippers and the show went on. But it's just that. It's just those little things that you have to be able to be creative about it and think outside the box at that moment. And everybody won, Like she didn't come out at the moment she had to, but we waited another set. We switched the performers. We got her ballet slippers. And
I like that. So in the end, it worked out properly. And everybody was happy in the end.
Everybody was.
That's so important, And like in those moments, it seems like you don't have a way through and a way out.
Right, but you do. There's always a solution to everything. But when everything is heated under the moment and there's people that fold or there's people that just fall apart, you just have to maintain, the waters, your head above the waters, because everything passes. Everything has a solution for it. I believe that everything, there's always a way to do it better. And sometimes you don't, but sometimes you learn from those mistakes when it happens. It's what they call growing pains. Sometimes you have to go through those to make it better the next time. And I've taken responsibilities when things have gone wrong. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I screwed up.
That's
so
amazing.
I'll make this better next time.
Very nice. Hey guys, if you really enjoy so far the conversation, which I think there is a lot of great tips in this conversation that we have, you can learn how to hire an executive assistant, but click the link below and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Constructing Podcast, for the companies that they want to grow and transform their construction business from 500,000 to 10 million. This is the right place to be. Okay. So thank you, Audrey, for being here and again.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you here. We had a great conversation. I think the audience got a lot of things out of it.
Thank you for having me here.
So before I let you go, I wanna again tell us a little bit more about your story, because right now you say you have 30 years in this business.
Correct.
But somebody maybe start early, so they can find a young person that just start fresh. So what should they look into that person?
I think that the one of the main things also I remember is personality-wise traits. There has to be some sort of chemistry.
Chemistry.
You know,
Okay.
and as starting as an entrepreneur, especially now that in these modern times, it's just so much more advanced. There's so much out there. You have to be able to find exactly the traits that serve you. Like, what are you looking for in terms of an assistant? And then the assistant themselves, they will let you know. Like, they will know if it's a right fit for you or not. But I think personality, I think it's driven if they believe in the company, if they believe in what they're doing, of what they're building. You know, startup companies are the best way to start because you grow together as a team. You understand? And I think that's just a very key element. You know, you don't have to be a full-time, graduate with a master's or a PhD to do the work. Executive assistants and personal assistants, they hold a lot on their weight. They weigh down a lot because they just don't assist. They go beyond that. They're behind the scenes. They're, if your executive is traveling out, or you have, you left something in the office, she'll get to that office and go pick it up and take it to the airport. Like, these are the things that you need to know, like how far they're willing to do for the job. But you do that when you sit and you have the conversation of the interview.
Yeah, so you say like communication is key.
Communication is key. Trust is key. Consistency is key. It's just something that you build from the very beginning with the person.
It takes some time.
It takes some time because you need to learn to know each other. It's like another relationship you have. You're working with that person.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's and you have to allow them to give them the space to grow. Don't hold on to so much to micromanage. You have to let it go.
Yeah, that's another key point. Don't micromanage the person.
You can't micromanage. You have to let go. You have to
delegate.
That goes on. Yeah, delegate, let go, and just let them, let them do their part.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. Not micromanage your executive assistant, but delegate. But sometimes, and that's I'm talking about myself. Sometimes I get too much in my head that I feel I already transmit to the other person what she needs to do, but in reality she didn't get fully the message. So she's not able to deliver it or able to execute what I'm explaining to her. So what's the best way that you suggest people to delegate things?
So the basic thing is, I would just break it down in 3 components. It's just like, first you have to listen, this is the task that needs to be completed. And I need this task to get from point A to point C. Understand? If you can do it another way, then it's okay. But I need this task completed by the end of the week. And if you have any questions, then come to me before the middle of the week. Let's get together for a moment and find out. But you got to give them that lead time, that leadway to be able, because you might have a specific way of doing it, but they might have a maybe better way of doing things. You understand? And that's sometimes where the confusion lies or the distrust lies. It's just that you simply, or the micromanagement comes in. Do you understand? You say, listen, if I need to get this car from Miami to New York by Friday, understand? And I need this car to be delivered in front of this hotel or whatever for a movie shoot or whatever. As long as you can get it done, please let me know. If you have something come across, like, this is the company that we use, this is the shipping, the logistics company that we use. If you have any problems, then let me know. But you gotta let it go, because maybe she can find another third company that can do it.
Maybe cheaper,
So,
maybe gets there
quicker,
earlier,
easier and stuff. So you just have to delegate and you just have to trust the process within it.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get this example because it's really good. Moving the car from Miami to New York till Friday. Let's say it's Monday and I give you this assignment. And so you say to people to okay, give some sort of logistic. This is what I used in the past, a plan. but give like a free, a open book
Right,
to the person to do it.
These are the outside vendors that we use, and usually sometimes they're not that dependent. So these are the vendors that we use, and we need this car there by Friday. But if she goes there and those vendors are not working for her, then she has to go and look for another vendor to do it. Maybe she could do it a better way, or they could do it a better way. So the right report would be okay. That she comes back and she says, "Listen, I'm going to report back that these people are not being responsive, so I'm going to outsource and do something else." At that point, you have to let it, like you have to trust the process that she's going to find another.
Okay, so you say around Wednesday, let's say, you have a report back and you regroup again, and you can use this.
Yeah.
Where are we with the car?
How are we with the car?
And then it gets to Friday, and if she deliver it and on time and early as well, you can start building trust with that person.
At that moment, you know that this is the person that you want to build trust with because she got you that car there.
She got you the car there.
That is the ultimate project that you want.
I love that. It's just a small example, but I feel you can apply with everything, you know. We run a construction company and the same things, you know, when you delegate, make sure that they understand what you delegate, make sure that you check and report with them.
Details, you have to do a lot of attention to detail, take notes, you know, they have to take notes and knowing what you want, what you need, because you know, you can forget things or something, so it's very important. But I think that would be a beginning start, you know, to be able to start trusting the person that you hire to do so.
That's great. Well, thank you so much again, Audrey, for your time. It was a lot of precious information that everybody in the audience can use.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time, guys. Another episode of Constructing Future. Click the link below, subscribe. It's going to be another episode coming soon. Let's go.
Let's go. Thank you. Thank you.